Hi, everyone. Dr. Liz here. Welcome to the Hypnotize Me podcast. I'm glad you're here, glad you're listening and learning, and hopefully it will help you with your journey along the way. I am a psychotherapist with a specialty in anxiety, insomnia, and deeper emotional healing. Hypnosis is one of the tools in my toolbox that I use to help people feel better and to help people be better. I do work all over the world. Please feel free to reach out and contact me if you would like some help. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my adult life, built an award-winning company, sold it, and then focused mainly on my private practice. That gives you a unique perspective, especially my ability to work with people in business at all kinds of levels. Before I go, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can go and subscribe to the newsletter. And you'll get free hypnosis downloads that you can listen to immediately. Another way is to buy one of the downloads that I have for sale. I only have a couple up there, but they're good ones. They've stood the test of time. I made the decision to not run ads during my podcast because I really do see it as an act of service. I completely respect people who do have ads on their podcast, but it's just not my path. All right, everyone, enjoy the episode. And I hope to see you back here soon. Hi everyone, Dr. Liz here. Today's guest is Joan Sotkin. She's been on the podcast a couple of times, and she is a financial coach, prosperity coach, I would say, and works with the emotional aspects of money. She really believes that it doesn't matter how much money you have. We all have feelings about it, and to work with those habitual feelings to change them into something that feels better for us is the way to go in terms of like feelings about money. I consider her quite wise, and we talk about lots of different things on this episode. I don't typically do any kind of politics on my podcast, and this episode does tend to be more towards the political due to the chaos going on in the U.S. right now. It was recorded in March of 2025 when Donald Trump is the president and Elon Musk is his right-hand man. Joan does make a, let's say, globalization when she's talking about Elon Musk, refers to him as Asperger's, and says, so he has very low empathy. If you're not familiar with the term Asperger's, it was in the DSM for decades and its own diagnosis, but then in right around 2013, it got wrapped into autism. So typically it's autism level 1 because the people often have very low support needs, but they do come off as eccentric, let's say. So it is a misconception that all autistic people lack empathy. It varies greatly among individuals, both autistic and neurotypical, actually. Some autistic people can experience a really wide range of empathetic experiences and be super empathetic to the point that sometimes it's overwhelming for them, which is sometimes when you get some meltdowns or withdrawal or something like that. Elon Musk himself, I don't actually know him personally. I mean, from afar, it looks like he has very low empathy, though. So I would say that statement is more specific to him than autistic individuals in general. We talk about all kinds of stuff in this episode, but we do typically bring it back to money and how to decrease fear around money. She gives you some real concrete actions to take in this one. So stick with us. All right, let's jump in. I hope everyone is healthy and safe. Peace. Hi, Joan. Welcome back to the Hypnotize Me podcast.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, I thought of you. Actually, a financial planner reached out to me to be on the podcast, and I thought really I'd love to have Joan on again because she really talks about the emotional aspects of money, and people feel, let's say, unsettled right now. So we're recording this in March of 2025, and they're feeling very unsettled around money, the markets, all this stuff. So I thought it would be wonderful to have you come on and give your perspective around that.
Well, let's say that what you feel about money is a good way about learning more about yourself.
Mm,
Because whatever you're feeling about money has nothing to do with money. It has to do with the feelings that you're bringing to money.
aha.
So let's look at the possibilities.
Okay.
First of all, right now, there is, I think you can say, a great deal of uncertainty.
Yes.
Okay. And your brain is wired to warn you during times of uncertainty because you don't know the outcome.
Mm,
And we are getting that in spades right now.
yes.
And it doesn't matter what your financial position. I mean, they're talking about the businesses and how they don't know what to plan
Yeah.
because of the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And your amygdala's job, that's that piece in your brain, is to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
So during times of uncertainty, it tells you to be afraid.
Mm.
So it's your brain. It's
Uh-huh.
your brain is telling you it's dangerous and you need to protect yourself, which is a perception because right this minute,
Mm-hmm.
most of you who are listening are not in danger.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's no tiger coming at us.
No, there are no tigers in the woods, and there's no and if you have enough to eat and a
Mm-hmm.
place to stay,
Mm-hmm.
then at this moment in time, you're probably safe.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just trained to just go to money as the danger point, and particularly since there's so much money talk going on in the chaos.
Yes, there is.
It's like it's crazy, and we keep hearing the richest man in the world. I feel sorry for him because he's got to be really alone,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got to fire. I mean, his behavior is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. He has said he's got Asperger's,
Mm-hmm.
which could mean that his empathy level is low, and that's clear. So you have to look at what's actually going on. And if you
Okay.
look at what's going on, you'll see that the courts are responding very fully to his, to stop a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to take longer than you want it to. And there will be disruption. There's no doubt about it. I've
Okay.
been talking about the chaos for a long time.
Yes.
I got this message in 1976 that we were going into a period of great chaos,
Mm-hmm.
that many people will leave the planet, that the chaos in the Middle East will get so bad, people will say, how could a benevolent God allow this to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And that people are being trained to be points of light in the midst of the chaos.
Okay, so you think we're finally there?
I think we're still on the edges of it
Okay.
because it's happening all over the world. It's not just in the United States.
Oh yeah, right.
It's happening all over with the right wing politics and what they're calling populism, which hurts the people rather than helps them.
Yeah.
And and so this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is when you're in the chaos and your brain is going, be afraid, it's very difficult to make good decisions
Mm, yes. Okay.
because your life is the result of your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if you give in to the fear because that's what you think is happening, and remember, our brains are wired to keep us safe.
Yes.
So it always looks for the negative.
Mm-hmm.
You have to bring the positive to your brain so
Mm-hmm.
that that's what your subconscious is acting on.
Okay.
which is not always easy to do when there's this much chaos. Yes, there has been chaos before during the Civil War, but we don't remember that.
Yeah, we don't. I
you
mean, I
know,
think you've lived through many periods of chaos. The Vietnam War, the
right. And my thing has always been, what can I do?
uh-huh.
And like during the Vietnam War, uh, I was an activist and I was organizing demonstrations that would get good press coverage.
Mm-hmm.
That allowed me to feel I was doing something uh, to help the situation, and it did, because the protesting in those days really made a difference.
Yes.
I can't, I'm too old at this point to be out there protesting. My body doesn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do. Uh, I'm talking a lot about coping with the chaos,
Mm-hmm.
because we must do that or we're going to get sick. Because when you're in fear,
Mm-hmm.
your brain is putting out cortisol, which is the stress hormone.
Yeah.
And that is the basis of a lot of physical disease.
Mm.
So, and the idea is to train your brain. So instead of there's a lot of cortisol, there's serotonin, which is the brain chemical that leads to satisfaction and contentment.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you do that on a day to day basis?
Yeah.
In other words, how do you counteract the fear? I know the first time they started talking about getting rid of Social Security, I had those moments of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to remind myself that it hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to make up a story about what's going to happen. Because when you're in the future, fear, you're
Mm-hmm.
making up a story.
For sure. Yes.
So the trick is to make up a different story.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, I took a deep breath and did some deep breathing
Mm-hmm.
and just imagined that the courts were going to, stopping Social Security. They can't. I mean, the chances of them actually doing that
Mm-hmm.
are smaller than the chances of them doing it. Particularly since the market is tanking the way it's been tanking,
Yeah.
and they don't, and Tesla stock has been tanking
Yeah.
the way. I mean, they had a Tesla sale on the White House lawn
They
yesterday, and he had a bunch of Teslas there, and said Trump said he was buying a Tesla, and of course Musk was there, and uh, and it's
I did
illegal.
not, I don't follow the news a whole lot right now,
I do,
but I had no
and
idea. It sounds like a
and
bad car show.
and that is actually illegal,
I was gonna say,
because it's not legal to sell things on the White House lawn.
uh-huh.
So everything is topsy turvy. Yes,
Okay.
there are going to be moments of fear. If you're one of the people that has been laid off, you're going to have a lot of fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell you everything's going to get well fast,
Uh-huh.
but the more you can be still, the more apt you will be to come up with a solution for you. I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell you what those solutions are. You
Right.
have to find them for yourself.
Yeah.
The people are becoming outspoken
Mm-hmm.
about what has happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you're watching, if you're not watching Fox News, you'll see that people are telling the truth about what's going on.
Mm.
Well, there are going to be stories for a while. Once some of this is reversed, which could take 2 years, because we may have to wait for the midterms,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take a while to rebuild everything,
Mm.
because things are going to start falling apart. I mean, if you look at what's going on,
We have already.
right, and it's moving so fast. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they warned us in Project 2025 that this is going to happen, and it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So now, the Democrats are doing their best to figure out solutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy because when
Yeah.
you've got a bully in charge, it's hard to counteract it.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart goes out to the people who have lost their jobs
Mm-hmm.
and for no reason. Musk knows nothing about how the government is run. The thing that's hurting him is the downturn of the Tesla stock,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they're having the Tesla sale
Mm-hmm.
on the White House lawn. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I took a seminar recently, professional, that talked about the autistic brain because I do adult autism evaluations as well as neurodivergent positive psychotherapy. They did say like the autistic brain is very transactional, like when they do brain scans on people. In that moment, it just explained to me like, oh, this is why Elon was a huge anti-Trump, huge. And then all of a sudden switched. It's like, oh, Trump can give me something. So now I'm going to support him. And so it just sort of explained it that in that moment. It said like often they'll switch friend groups when this friend group isn't giving them something that they need or want. Suddenly they're into Star Wars instead of Batman. And so boom, the Star Wars group is all their BFFs now. And along the way, the people in the Batman group are feeling hurt, right? Like, why aren't you my friend anymore? But anyway, it was really interesting to hear it talked about that way. And it suddenly like made some sense for me. So yeah, very transactional. And what that also means is he could quickly switch back.
yes, yes. When he decides he's being like the Tesla stock and all the people who are standing in front of the Tesla things and
Yeah.
people and the Tesla sales are down in Europe extremely
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah,
So Trump is the same way. He's very
he
transactional.
is. Yes.
Whatever his divergence is, it's
Yeah. But he is extremely transactional, which is
yes, yes.
why a
And
lot of
so
people like him. Like, oh, he's telling it like it is.
there are other people like that.
Yes.
But the country is based on serving people,
Yes.
not selling people.
Correct. Correct.
So
Yeah.
I always I have trained myself to believe that there's a positive and negative to everything.
Okay.
That we live in a dualistic reality
Mm-hmm.
where even on an atomic level there is plus and minus.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is the polarity. We're now seeing the plus and the minus. The minus just happens to be louder than the plus.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It's like the yin and yang.
Yeah.
The yang is very outgoing, the yin is the feminine ingoing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So it's a matter of the yin people being a little more prominent.
Mm.
In other words, instead of cowering in fear, I believe that if those of us who have been meditating for years
Mm-hmm.
start sending out healing energy to the planet and to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, where instead of buying into the fear,
Mm-hmm.
we're counteracting it with a different energy. I mean, this may sound obscure to some people, but it's all about energy. Money is energy. It's all
Yes.
about energy. And if you're generating fear, you're not helping the situation at all. So go out in nature and let yourself feel the trees and the leaves and the flowers and the bugs and all those things who couldn't care less what's going on the front lawn of the White House to let yourself be. I think that meditation is a form of dissociation.
Okay. I
It
see that.
takes you to another dimension.
It does. Yeah.
Okay. So does that mean that dissociation is bad? No, it
No,
probably has some positive aspects. It lets
absolutely.
you rise above the pain.
Yes, I've always seen dissociation as actually a skill, a protective skill that people develop. Yes.
Right. And that's what meditation is. You're going someplace else, right?
Yes. If you can use it voluntarily, even
Yeah.
better.
Yes. I've been meditating since 1972.
Hmm.
So I think I have a little practice under my belt, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah. It's a highly developed skill for you.
Yes, yes. And I don't know if I get into theta, whatever it is, it feels good.
Yeah.
And to be able to see the possibility of what's going on now,
Hmm.
which is that we're seeing the corruption in
Hmm.
all of its glory.
True.
We can't hide it anymore.
Hmm.
And for those who, the bros who really like what Donald Trump is doing, they're going to get hurt too. So
Hmm.
it's just going to take time for the energy to shift.
Okay.
And if all of you who have been meditating
Hmm.
will work to get out of the fear and into satisfaction and contentment and hope. I asked ChatGPT, what are the brain chemicals that are generated by hope? And the answer is serotonin and oxytocin,
Hmm.
right? If you can find a piece of hope and hold on to it,
Hmm.
listen to enough news to know it's like Rachel Maddow if you're not on cable, you can see it on YouTube. And
Hmm.
when you see all the people out there protesting, let that give you hope.
Huh.
Because the minute you allow yourself to feel just a spark of hope,
Hmm.
your brain goes, "Oh, that feels good."
Yeah.
And you're counteracting cortisol,
Hmm.
which doesn't help you one little bit. And you're teaching your brain a new response to familiar stimuli.
Okay, that feels more doable for me. Because honestly, during Trump's first term, I tried to do compassionate meditation, sending him good energy. Finally, I gave up, Joan. I was like, I just can't do this, and I'm not doing it.
But it's a matter of this phrase that I've been using for a long time
Uh-huh.
is developing new responses to familiar stimuli.
Okay.
To me, that's the key. What are you feeling? What would you rather be feeling? And do you know how to feel that? Because if you don't know what you'd rather be feeling, your brain hasn't been trained to feel that.
That's true. I mean, I am able to move to, and I was neutral sometimes, not really positive. But to me, what gives me hope actually is that I consider him on his own spiritual path. Like somehow in the life between lives, he chose to come back and fulfill this role. And that's somehow spiritually part of our all of our journeys.
And what if it's an important part of our journey?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm 84 years old. And
Uh-huh.
so I remember the times of chaos, and I have the experience of coming out of chaos. I had measles as a child. Now we're back to measles again. I mean, everything is upside down right now. So it's probably easier for me to switch feelings
Mhm.
because of my muscle memory, as they call it. For new people, people in their 30s, 40s, they've never learned to deal with this kind of chaos.
It's true.
Okay, so which is why I feel it's part of my job to help people cope with the chaos. It's
Yes. Well, you're running a group, right?
one Friday a month right now. I'm in the midst of moving. Talk about chaos.
Yes. I just moved. It is
I
chaos.
I have an analogy. Do you know your junk drawer
Uh-huh.
where you put everything that you don't want to deal with in the moment?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Well, even though I live fairly minimalist, whatever's left now is pretty much the junk drawer. It's just their bigger pieces. Like, where do you recycle this? Do I put this in the garbage? What am I supposed to do with that? There
Yes.
are so many decisions,
Yes.
all those decisions you didn't want to make when you put things in the junk drawer. When you move, you have to deal with every one of those decisions, or just come in and have someone haul it away. There are actually companies that will haul it all away. But I'm so adapted to recycling and
Yes.
composting, and will I be able to move on the right day so I don't miss the compost people who pick up, you know, you know.
I think that's what I hadn't recognized it till this moment, but I got some decision fatigue.
Yes,
And so
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
I'm just packing this and I
yes,
will deal with it later.
yes,
Like
that you're creating a new junk drawer.
it was a huge, just like about 50 boxes of junk drawer. Okay.
Right.
And then on the other 50, I made decisions on.
I have a storage shed in the back of my
Mhm.
house. And I opened the door the other day and I see what's in there, and then I
Yeah,
close the door.
I totally get
And
it.
I'm not even sure where I'm moving, although I think I have found the right place.
Uh-huh.
So remember, your brain is designed to look for the negative.
Yes.
And those of us who can stay in hope
Hmm.
are the savior.
Okay.
If you're worried about money, don't spend it, which is a whole lot of a difficult thing for people to do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we don't know what's happening with the money system. The wealthy people will always do well because they've got enough socked away that it doesn't matter. My first spiritual teacher said to me, Joan, worrying is a waste of time.
Hmm.
And I thought, what a concept. I didn't know anything about brain chemistry at the time. And so
Hmm.
I've been working on not worrying for a long time. And I'll tell you, it works really well to not be a worrywart.
Yeah, easier said than done, though.
But because your brain is habituated to worry.
Yes. I like to see it as a practice versus an either or.
Absolutely. So, like when I would worry about money
Uh-huh.
and understanding that I was making up a story,
Uh-huh.
so I would say to myself, a large sum of money from an unexpected source.
Yes, I love it. I
Okay.
use that all the time since I learned it from you years ago.
Yes, which means you're making up a different story.
Yes.
And then I would try to imagine all the different places that money could be coming from.
Uh-huh.
And I knew that that wasn't what's going to happen because I was making up a story. But it didn't matter. My brain got the message.
Yes. Well, I know you'll believe this. I don't say that all the time, but occasionally, a couple times a year, it'll occur to me when I start worrying about money, and I'll say, no, a large sum of money from an unexpected source. And more often than not, it actually happens. Some crazy check shows up,
I
it's
had
like,
that the other
this
day.
is I got a refund from the dermatologist of all people. It's the only medical refund I think I've ever gotten.
And I got a check the other day for $350 because I had overpaid escrow.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. I still have like little checks coming in from the sale of my house where I'm
Right,
like,
right, exactly,
fantastic. I didn't
exactly.
know. I didn't know this was going to happen. So,
Right.
yeah.
And, I'm looking around. What can I sell? Because I'm going from a 3-bedroom house that's, 1,600 square feet to 1,000 square feet. Well, I better sell something. And so it gives me what to think about. And I don't think about, well, will I get enough? I just,
Right. Yeah.
I'm taking action. And when you begin to expect the best, the most comfortable. There is no good or bad. There only is what is and how you respond to what is.
Hmm.
So I know what's comfortable for me, and
Hmm.
I'm imagining those things happening.
Okay. So imagine something positive happening.
Yes, and I don't even see it as positive and negative. I don't use the term negative emotions. I
Okay.
see what's comfortable or not comfortable for me.
Got it. Got it.
What's comfortable for Elon Musk is very different from
Yes.
what is comfortable for me.
Yes.
I care about other people. I have a high degree of empathy, but I also know you've heard me talk about empathetic detachment.
Yes.
I can understand your pain, but I can't fix it.
Yes.
I can help you fix it.
Uh-huh.
I have the feeling
Mm-hmm.
and the belief that we each of us has our own karma, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe things happen by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a bigger picture. I've been into metaphysics since I was in my 20s. And I read in one of the books along the way that we have all those cells in our body that make up our body,
Mm-hmm.
and that people are just cells in the body of the planet. And the planet is just a cell in the body of the solar system. And the
Mm-hmm.
solar system is just a cell in the body of the galaxy. What's going on the earth right now
Mm-hmm.
is it's sick. There's a cancer that's taking over. There's dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
I like that dis-ease. There's
Yeah.
dis-ease.
Yes.
And I believe that whatever's happening is just what's happening. And
Mm.
if you're denying climate change and you're denying pollution and you're rah rah for the oil companies, that's what's affecting the energy of the cells on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at it from that point of view, it's like taking a spaceship and going out there. It's like when we first saw the earth from outer space.
Yes.
It changed our view of the world, and it
Yes.
was just this amazing blue dot in the
Right.
midst of all the other dots.
Yes.
And which for me allows me to take myself a little less seriously.
Uh,
And
Perspective
yes,
thing.
and to realize I'm just part of a much larger system.
Mm-hmm.
And if I keep smiling, if if I do my best to keep my brain healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
for me that's been quite a job because I had post-sepsis syndrome. In October I had a little mini stroke. That my brain is my most precious thing, and that I have to do what I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's your choice. The
Uh-huh.
thing is, nothing's happening to you, it's happening through you. And
Okay.
you get to decide what you want going through you.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't been taught that we have the power
Mm-hmm.
to decide. So don't think you're a victim. We're living in an age of victimhood. We've got a president who is the victim in chief.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be a victim. You have control of who you are and how you're living in the world. And that's hard for people to hear. I'm someone who is spiritual, not religious.
Mm-hmm.
And I study all the religions of the world, and they all have something of value in them.
Yes.
But, I love the phrase, the kingdom of God is within you. And
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean? Have we ever looked at what that means and how when we tune into that very high level part of ourselves, we can
Mm-hmm.
find our answers. I don't care how smart or not smart you are.
Mm-hmm.
Your answers are there. You just have to. How many people have said to me, I've got an inner voice, but I'm afraid to follow it? Well, follow it.
Yeah. Right. It's tuning in and listening.
I've been using the phrase, the truth of you shall
Mhm.
set you free. Not the
Mm.
truth shall set you free, but the
Mhm.
truth of you. And to
Mm.
me, the journey of life is that journey towards self-knowledge.
Mhm.
Whatever's going on, what is this telling me about me?
Uh-huh.
When someone comes along and criticizes you, they're
Mhm.
usually telling you about them.
Yes.
So instead of saying, "Oh my God, there must be something wrong with me," well, it's like, "Oh, where are they, and how can I have compassion for them for
Mhm.
being so uncomfortable?"
Yes, I think that both is necessary. I mean, for my personal life, it's like, okay, I have to take a look and say, is that accurate? Are they giving me some feedback about something I have the ability to change that I need to look at? And at the same time, it is telling me about them.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
And to accept the acceptance piece is so important.
Yeah. Mhm.
I did a podcast episode on my Substack on the art of acceptance.
Mhm.
And I think it's on Spotify too. And I was born with a genetic problem. I wasn't given a label for it till I was 65. That
Mhm.
has limited me in some ways. Now, I could spend all my time kvetching about what I can't do.
True.
It's send to back, bring to front, that which is a computer command. What's doesn't work doesn't have to be prominent,
Mhm.
because when you start looking for what does work, what works for you.
Mhm. Yes.
I see that because of this genetic problem, I have learned a lot about nutrition and the body and how it works, and how to make it more comfortable. And, that's why I love ChatGPT, because it's got a lot of basic information.
Okay. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here, but tell people how to find you and how to work with you if they'd like to do that. And we've talked about a lot of different stuff here, but tell them what your focus is.
My focus is helping people how their emotions
Hmm.
are affecting their decisions,
Okay.
and that it's never about the money,
Uh-huh.
and emotions are not dangerous or hard to deal with once you understand your brain and how it works. Not my brain, not
Hmm.
Liz's brain, but
Hmm.
your brain. And
Yeah.
to understand that you're unique, and to understand how your childhood experiences are affecting your decisions today
Hmm.
and affecting your financial outcomes. And
Okay.
so I do this free gathering every month, once a month. It's a very safe place where, you can share what's going on, to realize that you do have choices. So if you go to prosperityplace.com,
Hmm.
you'll find everything I do, including the money coaching, and
Great.
everything I do is starts there. And you can always set up a call to talk to me. I love to talk to people.
Okay. Great. Yeah, there's lots of information on that site. So you're doing the group and you're still doing personal coaching too, though,
Oh,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, good luck on your move.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It seems to be moving along fine.
Good. And thank you again for being on the podcast.
My pleasure. And I love to meet new people, and I thank you all for listening.
I hope you truly enjoyed today's episode. Remember that you can get free hypnosis downloads over at my website, drlizhypnosis.com, DRLIZ hypnosis.com. I I work all over the world doing hypnosis. So if you're interested in working with me, please schedule a free consultation over at my website, and we'll see what your goals are and if I can be of service to you in helping you reach them. Finally, if you liked today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast or tell a friend. That way, more and more people learn about the power of hypnosis. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. Peace. This podcast is not mental health treatment, nor should it replace mental health treatment. If you need therapy or hypnotherapy, please seek treatment from a trained professional.